It's not even just their commitment to being hateful to people in the black community for some Asian individuals in some Asian communities. It's their desire to punish those people of color. And I've had two experiences with Asian businesses in the US that really took me by surprise, and I'll just share them with you really quickly. The first one was in 2019 in Portland, Oregon. There's actually a vet that a neighbor of mine had recommended that I go check out in the Montevilla neighborhood of Portland. I won't name them, but they are a four-letter word. And I had gone in to, I believe, get some vaccines done for my dogs because the dog groomer at a grooming location had told me that, I had two of my dogs were due for some vaccinations before I could take them back in to have them groomed. So I had contacted this particular vet that I had gone to before. But the last time I had gone in there, I'm sitting in the lobby and I'm waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting to get my whatever I was getting done at that time done for my dogs. And there were all of these people that worked there sitting in one of the back rooms, and they had all this food sitting on one of the metal tables that you treat animals on. These, big giant, 32-ounce beverages and all this food. And they're all back there, at this trough eating. And I'm just sitting there waiting. And I'm like, there's like 5 people back there. I'm the only one in the lobby. They're not helping anybody. And apparently they're not going to help me either. I wrote a Yelp review to that effect about this business, and I wrote it anonymously. But what was really interesting is, so when I went back, because I was still, working with them, they were nice enough. They were just strange, and the space was kind of weird. I actually think I described it as something like, those funky fly-by-night phone stores that have like weird paint, and stuff like this going on the walls that you're like, what's going on here? Anyway, that's just my designer eye, and I can't help it. But so when I went back to get these vaccines done pre-grooming, and they knew that I had a timeline, they called me like the day before and said, actually, we're not going to see you and allow you to have your appointment unless you will take down that Yelp review that we did not appreciate. And I was like, excuse me? So somehow the owner found out that that review was from me specifically, even though I didn't write it on the same date that I had the appointment. So, obviously they have access somehow. And they were going to demand that I was going to take down the review. And I was like, the review is completely honest and it is my own opinion and I have every right to that opinion. I'm not taking that review down. I'm like, sorry, you have a problem with the review. And she was like, it was horrible or abominable or whatever it was that she said. It was just the truth. It was what was happening and it was my experience. So yeah, it was kind of abominable. It was really unclassy. It was really unprofessional. Nonetheless, they refused service to me, which, okay, you have the right to do that, because I wouldn't remove a review. There's a term for that, right? Legally. Anyway, so I didn't take it down. I didn't go back. So be it for that 4-letter crappy business. But I did look up that business, who owned it, this kind of thing. Came to find it was an Asian business owner who also had another one outside of Portland, I believe in the Gresham area, had another veterinary service over there. And I was like, this is interesting, because I already knew Asians were really well established in real estate. They were especially commercial real estate. But, okay. So, as you can see by the title of my page, that I'm in Brazil now. And in the process of working to get here in Brazil, I had to get health certificates for my dogs because they're my family, they're coming with me. So the vet that I was going to, great vet, but they were in Tigard, which is further out from Portland. So I wanted to find somebody that was in Portland. I wanted to, and find somebody who had, because you have to go to an FDA certified vet for international health certificates. So that's one of the things you have to navigate. So unfortunately, my vet that I was going to did not have, shout out to Community Health Hospital, Community Pet Hospital, but they didn't have at that time somebody that had that certification to be able to do international health certificates. You can hear my dogs playing in the background, so that's just part of, being a pet mom. Anyway, so I had to go find another one. So I found one in Portland in the Overlook neighborhood. They had just gotten themselves reestablished with a new location. And so I set up an initial appointment. They said in order for you to get the health certificates, you first have to have an initial appointment for every single one of your dogs. It's going to be 90 something bucks a piece. And I'm like, so I have to establish care, right? So go in, they look at them, take their temperature, send them away. Okay, thanks. We've taken your 90 some odd dollars for each one of these. And I did that for all of my dogs. So then I set up the health certificate appointment, and I set it up in one day. I have 5, as the Brazilians say, cachorro, or little ones, so cachorrinho. I have 5 little dogs. So I set up the appointment for one day. It was going to take a couple hours. Okay, great. And then I had to change the date to, postpone it a little bit. But I gave them like a 8-day notice so that it wouldn't impede with their ability to get an extra, to get other appointments in there. Okay, no problem. Did all of that. So then I went to rebook them. And as I was in the process of rebooking them for another day, they told me, oh, hold on a second. I'm actually being told that we can't let you do them all on the same day. I'm like, why? Well, you're going to have to do them individually if you're going to pay for them individually. Excuse me? I paid for, you guys don't have any problems with my payment history with the appointments that I've had in the past. No, we haven't. And I said, and you didn't ask me to do this before. Well, we didn't, no. And it's also not part of your policy, because I'm sure I'm not the only client that you have that has multiple pets that they bring in. So why would it be a problem if you have the time available on any given day? You actually just told me that I could. We were scheduling it, and then part of the way through, somebody steps in to tell the person on the phone, no, you cannot, we're not going to book it this way for this person. And so I was trying to get an explanation why, and she finally just got so upset beside herself that she's like, I'm going to have the management call you back. And I'm like, okay, do that. Management calls me back. I have my friend at the house at the time. I put this call on speaker as he proceeds to let me know that no, it is not part of our policy because they were telling me that I was going to have to pay in advance for my 5 dogs in order for me to go in there and do it all on the same day. Otherwise, I was going to have to pay for them all. If I was going to pay for them individually, then I have to bring them in on individual days. Well, vets don't typically ask for you to pay for the entire service in advance of going. No, I mean, we don't. But in this particular situation, we're going to. And I'm like, why? What is that about? Well, that's what the owner wants us to do. guess what? You've got it. It's another Asian business owner who has decided spontaneously during my call that, you know what, we're actually going to ask this one person to do something that is outside of our own regulations, our own stipulations for our clientele at this facility. And I was like, absolutely not. And they insisted that, yeah, you will have to prepay. And I'm like, do you understand that it will take me half an hour to get there, do the appointment, half an hour back, and I have to stress out each individual dog doing this back and forth for 5 hours in drive time just to make this happen that could happen in one day. And unless I will go above and beyond your own policies and pay in advance, you will not allow me the same conveniences that you will allow your other clientele. I was so angry, so upset, so insulted by the end of this call that was on speakerphone. Told them that I could not justify giving them any more of my money, even though I've already given them almost $500 for nothing, for sticking a thermometer in their asses. So, yeah, I couldn't give them any more of their money. They're like, yeah, so be it. And when I hung up the phone, my friend that was there with me, white male, told me, I just need you to know, I don't go through anything like that. I just want to confirm your experience, that it's very clear why they're doing this to you specifically. That one, those both came as surprises to me. But just the desire to be so manipulative, calculating, and punishing. Why? In the first place, because I had an opinion, and they were willing to demand that I was going to have to withdraw my truth in order to be serviced by them again. So I never went back to them and patronized that business again. And the other one, out in Overlook, really easy to figure out who they are, were basically going to demand that I go above and beyond their policy and do more than their standard clientele are asked to do. It's not written anywhere that this has to be done. And in fact, they were almost willing to offer me the same service that their other clientele got, until the owner stepped in and determined that, no, those policies are available to our other customers and they will not be available to you. So, know that some of these punishing Asian businesses are not just in those places and spaces that you expect to find them. They're not just your hair salons. They're not just your, beauty products. They're not just your Chinese food restaurants. But they are in your pharmacies. They are in your, a lot of your commercial buildings are owned by them, or many. And apparently veterinary care. So things associated with the medical industry. So it's something to look into when you're experiencing mistreatment that is out of the blue, that you hadn't expected, and that there's no justification for. Something to think about. Thanks for listening, and like it if you heard something that you needed to hear. Bye.